Hello, it seems that we can no longer postpone and we'll have to tell you about the selector. The selector is in essence like an if-else conditional construction, but only for the functional block language. In the latest version of the ALP component library, you will find two such elements, one for working with integer data and the other for real numbers. And essentially, that's the only difference between them. The first input of the selector is Boolean. It determines which of two possible values will be sent to the output of this block. If 0, then the value from the second input is sent, and if 1, from the third. There are many applications for this block, but the simplest and most obvious option is, of course, the choice of setting, with which something will be subsequently be compared. An example? Sure. For instance, choosing a rate for the day and night mode of heating system, or choosing between manual setting of the set point from the screen or automatic calculation by some formula, or choosing summer and winter coefficients. Then it's just a matter of turning on your imagination and coming up with something of your own. Now let's take a slightly more complex scheme. Suppose we have a piecewise linear graph to determine the set point, and to calculate it correctly, we need to determine which zone of this graph we fall into. Here the selector also helps us, but we will need more than one. Let's divide the graph into 3 zones, the first, second and third, and check if x turned out to be more than 70. Then do we need to apply the formula for calculation from the first section? No. Then again we check, maybe x turned out to be more than 20, and we need to apply the formula for section number 2? No. Well then, we apply the formula for section number 3. 3 is always one less selector than there are zones on the graph. And the third interesting option, which is also often encountered, is performing an action by command. In general terms, it looks like this. There is some command, and with the help of selector, in the absence of this command, we write the variable into itself. That is, this variable does not change. And when the command appears, we update the value of variable. And similarly, you can assemble other schemes. For example, increasing the value of a variable by 1 by command. We take a selector, connect the command to the first input, connect the variable to the second input and output, and on the third input we connect the result of adding our variable with a constant. In my case, it will be 1. Now, with each execution of this program, if the command was enabled, the value of the variable will be increased by 1 unit. Such schemes can be applied for different interesting things. For example, smoothly increasing the value of the set point when holding down button. Or, for example, recalculating the value of the set point by some formula by command when it is not necessary for it to be constantly updated. Well, and if you add a couple more timers and edge detectors to all this, everything becomes much more interesting. By the way, we will talk about these elements in the next videos, and also about simulation mode. Stay tuned for course updates and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your attention, all the best.